Break is over, and we're back with two of our stars from the first two games of the afternoon session. I guess it's a little bit unfair to call Rafi the star when that last game went in Jackson's favor and not his, but he gave us some incredible plays to cut our teeth into. And of course, Laurie Cohen with an incredible comeback. As usual, I am joined by Matt Canik. This is going to be a great game, Matt.
I am so looking forward to it. Yeah, Laurie played so well in that last one. Rafi's been playing so well all event, and this game has a lot of stakes as his field has tightened up. Rafi relinquishing control of first place has to write it here. NNOORTT, not the rack you were looking to make that statement with, though. I think we're going to see just like on two or a really sad play here. Will, would you exchange here or would you play through?
Oh, that's brutal. Exchanging down to something like, I guess, RT, NRT. Those are definitely good bingo tiles, but I feel like on two, playing something like that, you get 8 points and you basically are throwing the same tiles that you'd probably be throwing back into the bag onto the board instead and actually get some points in the bargain. Seems pretty reasonable. I don't know whether you would also want to throw something like Torn into the mix. On two is not possible to, well, you could put on two with the first O on the star, I suppose, but Torn can be placed on the board in a very defensive way. And that is what, never mind. I thought we were going to see Torn. Instead, we see Ton going for a little bit more aggressive of an approach, Matt.
I'm not a big fan. I don't like how the O synergizes with these letters, but Rafi's really good at Scrabble, so this is probably okay. I would just play on two there. I hate vowels. I hate O's.
Fair enough. Very simplistic but powerful analysis there. But yeah, I hear you. Keeping an O on that opening rack, definitely not the vowel that you're looking for. And Rafi draws more flexibly, but both players really not with the draws to open this game that they would have hoped for here. Rafi with all those duplicates, forced to play Ton for only 6. Laurie with the UIIW combination on the rack. I kind of like her play of Uni here.
Oh, this is fantastic. This is, I was going to say, I don't know if Laurie makes this play because it's so defensive, and Laurie tends to opt on the bingo prone side, less defense, more offense, but this is great. It crushes a computer simulation just because it's so hard for Rafi to do anything productive on this turn. Really, really wise thinking there from Laurie. I love it. Thumbs up.
And look at her karmic reward on that draw. Looks like she drew something like E blank. I don't remember what other. It looks like EL blank to pair with that S. So I certainly think Laurie is going to be hard pressed not to play a bingo on her next turn. I don't see how Rafi would be stopping it here.
Yeah, always a good idea to go into the bag and reach and get EL blank if you can. So heads up thinking there from Laurie as well. Oh, man, Rafi has to figure out if he wants to respond with more defense to Laurie's defense. TORY stacks on top of this and just eliminates like any possibility for Laurie to do much next turn. But just playing off YO feels really strong here too. Either YO and out or YO, Ono and Yin are both strong options if you're looking to bingo. But I like that first option, Tori stack on top and just make things really hard, especially against Laurie, who I know is so dangerous with bingos. I'm playing Tori.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff that can still happen to you after other plays like just Yo. What if your opponent has a bingo with TE in it? That's still going to fit right here. There's still plenty of other stuff that fits. After Tori, you really, really are restricting your opponent to incredibly specific sets of tiles. Pretty much they need a bingo ending in S, which would open the triple back, or they need something absolutely crazy specific like GA or BA or something like that going across. Things that are too improbable to waste time thinking about, in fact. Looks like Rafi might be considering playing Toyer, which is definitely a more aggressive variation, hanging an R out in space, Matt. Not sure how hard he's going to get hit in response to that one.
No, Tori is just a better version of Toyer. It does all the things better. It gives back far less. If you're going to play on top long and break up the bingo prone stuff, it needs to be Tori here.
I guess you could also, there's definitely, defensively, just playing OY if you want to keep slightly better tiles is also pretty good. And there is your suggestion of Tori. So the mind meld between you and Rafi Stern very much alive and well.
Rafi's probably one of the players who plays the most similar to me in that he likes to play defense a little bit more, limit risk when he gets ahead, and he's great at kind of triaging those situations, whereas I'm not quite so great. I just like to do it. So Tori is a really nice option. To highlight why this is better than Toyer, Laurie averages 8.5 additional points next turn after Toyer compared to this nice blocky Tori. That is a huge difference. 8.5 points just from a little nuance. Lesson to be learned there for everybody on how to approach these tight early game situations.
Yeah, it's always, if you're thinking about, if you have really nice tiles, Rafi did have good bingo tiles. He could have fished off just his Y and another, probably the O, and left himself good tiles. But that doesn't really do you that much good on a board that is so tight like this. And you can expect that either Laurie is going to have a bingo or she's going to try to keep things closed for you as well. So playing something like Tori, getting a few extra points rather than admiring a better bingo leave does make a lot of sense while the board is so compacted. And just look at this little brick in the center of the board. That's the definition of a tight board here.
We saw Laurie break out in a little grin when she spotted the beautiful Sabayons a couple games ago. I break out in my little grin when I see a board with this shape. Just a little square right there at the beginning. Nobody's doing anything. There are no hooks and everybody is sad. That makes me happy in Scrabble. This is a beautiful board.
Yeah, you are a sicko, and that pretty much confirms it. For me, I would want to see a board that looks kind of like this with all these long words all over the place. I don't even know what symbol I'm drawing. Let's not get into any trouble here.
I didn't say it.
Yeah, but I don't think it was anything bad, but it was too close for comfort. Sorry about that, everybody. I think swirled looks like a pretty good option here. She's got that set up. That's not going to yield any hook back by placing the D right here. I think that makes a lot of sense. There were other options scoring more, but they seem to all have some kind of a hook there. So this is a nice way to cut off any possibility of hooking. Does this give Rafi anything back? It looks like his letters are pretty good, but I don't think he has anything in response.
No bingos, no double doubles available. You think with all those floaters in space, you'd like to have something a little bit better, but this is part of the consequence of Tori. You don't keep as flexible a bingo leave. When you do get that floaters, you're going to hit less often. Tori, I think, was still the right play, but yeah, you're not going to be quite as close to a bingo on this turn. He still has a ton of points. BOWED plays on top of this board with Bryn and OY for 33. Bowled plays through the L and Swirled for 34. You'd like to bingo or double-double, but those are pretty fine consolation prizes. I took the points last turn. Laurie had a great rack, and she only scored 66 with it, and I'm going to score 35 again this turn. That's all right. I win that exchange. I fished an S and a blank off your rack and didn't fall behind. That's got to feel okay for Rafi.
Yeah, all true. Laurie, meanwhile, is definitely close to any number. I'm still kind of scanning the board to make sure that she's not going to have a bingo available, or her tiles are so flexible there. The only real blemish is the 2 R's. If you were to replace one of those R's with another low point consonant not already on her rack, she might be bingoing here. Maybe she has something I'm not seeing yet. Either way, she's definitely either going to be bingoing, or if not, balancing those tiles and standing a great chance of doing so next turn.
Laurie's got a great rack. The problem is the floaters on this board, D-L-E-R in Swirled, are exactly the letters on her rack. She's not hitting through the I. She's unlikely to hit through those other letters. There's no playable bingos here for Laurie. We're able to see it up in the booth, and this is going to be a tricky decision for her. Again, Laurie, as a player, my read on her is that she is really good at identifying bingo-prone leaves and tends to try to keep them together and hit you with that bingo next turn. So I think we're going to see her play something like ER on top of Bode, create another bingo line at the top of this board. She is narrowly ahead, but she
Okay. I might have had a hiccup there. Not sure if it was me losing Matt or the whole stream, but either way, okay. Christian says we're good. Yeah, I just wanted to point out real quick to add on to Matt's last comments that you guys are in the chat pointing out that she has a slew of 8-letter words that do not play in this lexicon. So if you're watching from points outside of North America, might be frustrating, but she actually does not have any playable bingos in this matchup. So yeah, we'll just see. I think we should be okay with audio, but you guys should let us know if you can't hear me or Matt going forward.
Yeah, let's see if you can hear me or Matt going forward.
I hear Matt just fine. So
all right, nice. I like that.
Yeah, looks like it's all good. So this is tough though, Matt. She doesn't have a bingo. I guess the logical thing is to just play ER, maybe, yeah, just something simple like this and have a great chance of hitting a bingo somewhere. Also, if you draw something ending in ED, it's going to play right there. Maybe you said that, but seems very natural. But if I'm Laurie, I'm definitely going to be spending a couple extra minutes looking through all this stuff and thinking to myself, how could I possibly not have a bingo, and ultimately grudgingly accept that I don't.
Yeah, man, that's frustrating that nothing is here. This is another one where I put my head in my hands and I sit there for 2 minutes making sure I don't miss a baby bingo on stream, but nothing there for Laurie. Again, I think ER at the top is consistent with her MO and her brand of Scrabble, but also the play of DEAR, 5 overlap to the right side of Swirler. It's pretty enticing. That's 26 points, busts up this rack. There we go. So this is the fish I expected. I didn't think she would play Re for just 6, but she is setting herself up in front. REE does take the front D that she holds, as well as a bunch of other stuff. If you're going to fish, got to make sure you create lines to hit.
It is a big... Yeah, it is a big point sacrifice, though, Matt. As you point out, her draw does not cooperate with that cue. But, man, 7 points is a lot for her to give up on that fish.
It really is. And, again, this is the Laurie Cohen brand of Scrabble. She plays to bingo on you, and she's more prone than almost anybody up there to play 3 or 4 bingos in a game against you. But you've got to try to catch up in the interim. When she does set up these openings, you've just got to score. Because she's willing to make those sacrifices in open spots.
Well, drawing that cue is definitely not what she wanted to see, but this creates a very interesting decision because she can just plop that cue down right there for 11 points. But I wonder if this leave with the 2 R's on it is actually a little bit too clunky. She already has, dealt with this for a turn or now 2. I wonder, is it possible that exchanging QR actually results in enough extra bingo opportunities for her that it's worth doing over plopping down Chi?
We won't really get to sit there and unpack that one too much, but that was definitely another interesting turn. This one, Laurie opting to keep the less bingo prone leave and cash in the points now. Another tricky turn for her. I think you just kind of play your gut in that instance, but she opts to play QI for 11, and we're back on Rafi. Double H's on his rack now.
Yeah, tricky for him because the easiest place to plop stuff down would be right here, but I really don't think he's going to do that. You mentioned it earlier that Rafi and you share a similar style, a little bit more apt to go the defensive tack as opposed to a play that places a letter out in the triple lane after a move like this, which is a neon sign to Rafi. Do not do that. She's got a bunch of good tiles that she likes. So I really doubt that he's going to put a tile in the triple lane. It seems like he has set up on his rack. I'd be very surprised if he played this, but honestly, after the area ways sequence, I'd be impressed with his fortitude if he actually put another letter out in the triple lane like that here.
Yeah, it's incredible to think where his psychology must be right now, given he just got a really improbable triple played on him. From just a sheer equity perspective, though, HUH is so good compared to other options. EILM is about the best leave he can keep on this rack. 28 points is the highest scoring option for him here. Like, it's really hard to sneeze at this. I would play it, and just seeing that there's nothing else to do, I'd play this, and Rafi's going to do it as well.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by this. This is a great example of what makes Rafi such a strong player. Yes, very recently on stream, we saw him get burned by an opening just like this, and there is no question that Laurie is keeping strong tiles after this. But to your point, Matt, this is definitely the best combination of points and leave value that Rafi can get on this turn. And he knows, even though he just got hit with area ways for 1 billion points, this H is going to be very, very difficult for Laurie to capitalize on. And you can see his suspicion is going to be confirmed immediately. And he has Mycelia on his rack almost as an immediate reward.
Yeah, wow, what an incredible swing. And Laurie drawing into exactly the same rack she had. She fished off RE holding ADELR, then had to play the Q, and then ended up with RE again. So she didn't have to look for 8s that time because she already looked for him. What a find from Rafi. Mycelia, that's pretty deep in there. You're wasting no time on it.
Yeah, that's not your everyday find. That is not the first word or the second word or the 1,000th word that you are going to learn on your journey as a tournament Scrabble expert. This is many, many, many thousands into the book with that MYC combination. So well done to Rafi. I'm frankly not surprised to see him spot any word, no matter how obscure, but he plays this very immediately and confidently and goes up by quite a lot. And he needs it because Laurie has finally connected.
Yeah, Laurie set up that line on top of REE. Now she's got both the D and the T to crush that spot. This, again, the equivalent of a layup to a Scrabble player. This rack, Laurie's going to bingo on top. I think we're going to see Dilator for 72, making TREE. She might go for Red Tail if she wants to keep this board open and get a triple in play. But Dilator feels okay to me. I don't think you're going to shift over and play Red Tail and Tree and open the triple.
Yeah, right. You can look at it and just realize that, this is a little bit riskier depending on what Rafi draws. You can just get hit a little bit harder. I feel like this L maybe is a little bit easier to work with in the triple lane than the D would be here. Not quite as easy. I guess there are still a few things that can go in that spot, but the L can accommodate just a little bit more. You could see longer words with LV in them. DV isn't going to happen. LK, DK isn't going to happen. So definitely a little bit more flexible. I do expect to see Dilator unless she has a compelling reason not to. But yeah, Mycelia, like we said, not the first 1,000th word that you're going to see on your journey to become a top Scrabble player. But Dilator probably is in that top group. As you said, Matt, kind of closer to a layup for players like this.
All right, so she's opting to leave the rehook in space, maybe trying to go back there later. She's going to leave just a few points on the board to make this play and keep the board alive a little bit longer. This play is retailed for 68 as opposed to the 72 pointers on top. This feels fine.
Yeah, it's not so many fewer points, only a 4-point sacrifice. So if Laurie really feels like this is a board that she feels more comfortable making a comeback on. A 4-point sacrifice is easily within a normal range to make in order to continue that comeback further. So curious now. Rafi has immediately, he put his JUB in order. Maybe he's thinking about playing Juba here. This is tricky because this X spot, Matt, is so appealing. If I was going to play the J here, I would love to do it in a spot that keeps this spot open, holding the X, but I'm not sure there's a great way of accomplishing that.
Jibs and Bree at the top of this board is actually doing very well in a simulation. You wouldn't think to hold TXU, but you just crush that spot next to retailed very often. Jibs is the second favorite play of the simulation here, above Juba, I might point out. But the standout option here is actually just playing the X. FAUX at the bottom of this board holds BIJST. You get to hit Jibs or Jibe or something next turn. I think this is a great choice from Rafi.
Yeah, very well spotted. I love this from him. I feel like maybe there are options for this J on the next turn. I'm not really seeing that he has a great one right here. But even just an E, maybe he plays something like Jibe. So I don't know. I'm not sure if the J has that great of a follow-up, but basically 42 points and getting rid of that X is hard to sneeze at here. But yeah, trying to figure out that last tile on Laurie's rack there. We know she has spec and another N. Not 100% sure what that 7th tile is. We'll figure it out.
It might be a T, and if it's a T, Laurie has 60 points on the board right now, but I can't tell what it is. I'm trying to figure out from our production team as well. I even went back and looked at the stream on delay to watch your draw, and it just never popped in the frame. We'll try to figure out what that is. We've got Christian and Andrew on it right now.
Yeah, these cameras are so beautifully wide angle. We're getting such a huge amount, but for whatever reason, Laurie is using that far right side of the rack. Oh, it's a V, Matt, that last tile.
If it's a V, then this is definitely her top option here. Yeah, she could have had Sketcher to the HER for 60, which would have been absolutely bonkers, but can't do that without the T.
Very nice. That would be, yeah, this, you know what? This HER in the triple lane is definitely something you could see extended. I would say that the C was a really nice tile to be able to do that, but the T is definitely still possible to do that with. And Laurie draws another V. That's a devastating draw for her next turn. Not at all what you wanted to see after Pence.
Oof. Yeah, that's a big oof.
Not that Rafi's tiles are that good, Matt.
Yeah, man, every option I click on through the engine right now through Quackle is sad and abysmal for different reasons. You really want to try to block up this board. You really want to try to knock out the PEN in Pens, particularly the EN if you can. And yet the only real way to do that is jibe to the E or be fit through the E. And both of those leave so many points on the table. Rafi would love to block here, but his rack's just so bad that he can't. I think he needs to play Jimp at the bottom of this board, knowing there's no wise out for Jimpy. I think you just take equity and see where BFT takes you. There are a ton of A's and a ton of O's to be drawn. So whatever play you make, just assume that you're going to draw a ton of A's and O's and see how it synergizes from there.
Yeah, it is worth noting that even though this looks even, you might be looking at this and saying, oh, well, it's a nice even mix. It's not vowel heavy. It actually is technically still kind of vowel heavy. If you think about it, the Scrabble tile set consists of the 2 blanks and then something like, I forgot whether it's like 56 consonants and 42 vowels. It's something like that. So the natural state of the Scrabble tile set is consonant heavy. So this late in the game, if you see the 2 numbers are equal, it actually represents a relatively large amount of vowels still left in the bag. So making a play leaving 4 consonants, no, definitely not foolproof. Rafi could draw 3 consonants from the bag with ease, but it's not quite as toxic as it would be in normal conditions with that starting ratio of vowels and consonants in the bag.
Yeah, I would be looking at trying to keep letters that synergize well with the A and the O. And I don't think that the letters you keep after GIMP do that. If you just look at A, B, F, T, like maybe I'd pull abaft. But the O's specifically give me a lot of pause there. I could see this going south, but there aren't other good options. Rafi considered Jibs and Bree at the top of this board, but that holds the abysmal FP combination. GIMP is kind of all he's got. I think you have to do it.
Yeah, not always the case that in Scrabble, the play that you make is going to make you feel very good. There's no doubt that Rafi doesn't love keeping those 4 consonants there, but he does get bailed out just a little bit by 2 vowels from the bag. I'm sure he's very, very happy to know that as long as he can dodge a bingo from Laurie on her next turn, he'll have some kind of flexible play available to him next turn.
I like this from Laurie. Just get him off. Go away. Yeah. Bob for 17. This also wins the sim, so her best statistical move, as well as just a very satisfying one.
Yeah, get those V's out of there. The V's are one of the most frustrating tiles in Scrabble. I feel like this is a classic Predator meme handshake between Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger, between longtime top expert Scrabble players and novice Scrabble players. Everybody can have that muscular handshake that the meme portrays, that we all hate the V. There's definitely some tiles that are very different. A lot of novice Scrabble players really hate the C as well, whereas we in the tournament scene at the expert level definitely like the C much, much more. It has a lot of great attributes. Neither of those 2 tiles allow for 2-letter word overlaps, but the V is also just not a good tile for any purpose other than defense in very specific scenarios. So not what Laurie needs. She doesn't want to play defense with a now 40-point deficit. So dumping those Vs makes a ton of sense.
We saw a few suggestions in the chat to maybe just exchange there if you're Laurie, but if you exchange, all of a sudden you must bingo to win this game. You've got to put some points on the board and maybe a high-scoring intermediate play. You don't have to bingo and win the game. You just crush a score 1 turn and you're back in it. So she needs to score some points. It was bad, the GKVV combination, but it wasn't so bad that she needed to score 0 there.
Very true. If you're Rafi here, though, how do you assess the threat level on this board? You've got this 7s lane that Laurie set up earlier, and to her credit, she played retailed, knowing that she might still be trailing as she is now after her next move. You can see the foresight of not using up that hook now maybe coming into play. This lane is still kind of sitting there as a threat to Rafi, but also this E, Matt. How does Rafi evaluate what to do here?
And again, you really want to knock out the E with the lead that you have, but you can't. You can partially obstruct the hooks to Re, and I think you have to be looking up there. Hit that spot first while your rack allows you, and then try to take out Pence next. The next question is, how do you address that spot? And I thought we might see Rafi play FUD and Free. That sets up the big back hook with 2 unseen S's. But that is the more standard equity play. This is the more Rafi style play. I'm not going to let you burn me with the bingo. I'm not going to open that spot at all. I'm not going to let you get lucky. I'm going to minimize the volatility. I love this decision from Rafi. Again, a play not a lot of people make, but one that I think maximizes your odds of winning this game of Scrabble.
It is a much more controlled play. I knew as soon as he played it that you were going to like it because it very much lines up with that ethos of rather than put my pedal to the metal and go for offense, I'm going to try to take things away from my opponent, take away that easy 7s line. Makes a lot of sense with all the hooks that still can play on top of Re. There are still not only the T's for tree, the D for Dree, the F, the G, so many hooks to this word still on the board, and Rafi has taken them all out. Looks a little dangerous to make this Z hook, but in fact, doesn't seem like there's really that much that Laurie could have with AZ in this spot. There is no SAZ in this lexicon, so it's kind of a phantom Z spot. Doesn't actually hurt Rafi that much to make, so I like to play a lot as well.
Wow, yeah, that's so safe from Z options. Even with a ton of A's unseen, it's just not there. This is about the worst you're going to get punished. And there it is.
So a fish of just the Z makes sense. It scores 31. It prolongs the game by using only one tile. I guess what I would have liked to see there is if she's going to just play the Z, what can she actually draw in the bingo department here? Does she even have that many things? A T would give her gaskets, but that doesn't seem to fit anywhere on the board after Za. Actually, the nice thing about Roof, even though for a second I was like, oh no, he's making an S hook. Nope. Bowed blocks that. So Roof is totally safe on Rafi's part to play. Love that play from him.
See, all of a sudden, like, look how much better Rafi's position feels after that play of BAUDS. If he had played FUD, maybe Laurie doesn't have an S in bingo, but she can open the board again, create a third line. All of a sudden, Rafi's in a commanding position in this game because he opted to score the defense there. That's why you start to close the board when you're ahead, because it makes closing the board later much easier, and you just get these slam dunk victories.
Yeah, now I'm just looking at Laurie's, possible moves. Of course, she's going to want to open more space, but problem is, there is a little bit of room for a bingo on this side of the board, but how can she really open anything in that spot without scoring very few points and opening Rafi up to score incredibly well in response? So I'm not 100% sure what she can really do. She needs a few points on the scoreboard, but there's no great way to open and score here. And man, Rafi is so close to a bingo of his own, Matt. I thought for a second he surely has one through this E, but I guess not quite. He's knocking on the door, though.
Yeah, he's got a great rack, and you always want to have a flexible rack. You expect your opponent to try to open the board and bingo. You would love to just pounce on that bingo line and end the game. So while he doesn't have a bingo this turn, he has to feel great about being in range and trying to stay in range this game for whenever Laurie does inevitably open this board. I don't know what she's going to do that, though. Like, all of her options are really sad. She can cash one of her two S's and backhook Roof to try to create a line on the right side, but that just seems like you're asking to get destroyed there. There's nothing that is open enough that you actually threaten big plays, but also closed enough that Rafi can't just destroy you in that spot. You can't play Ags, you can't play Kegs with a ton of unseen A's. There's really not a good Roofs play that I see for Laurie that does anything productive. Do you see anything here?
Finding something in the Roofs spot looks brutal. Good suggestion from chat, maybe of just playing Kegs and Story, given that you've got two S's. Rafi used his last S. Wasn't the last S unseen to him, but now Laurie knows she has the last two in the set. Yes, there is also a blank available, but Kegs does have the nice attribute of setting up your S hook in Skegs in a way that is going to be, at least it forces Rafi to block it. The scary thing, though, is I really worry about what happens if Laurie plays Kegs and Rafi just responds with pretty much any normal play into the K of Kegs. Doesn't that look kind of like game over, Matt?
It does. Yeah, it really does.
It's tough. I really don't know what she's supposed to do here. Is it possible that the situation is so dire that you need to do something like ski right here, SKEE, or maybe just ska or something like that in that spot? It seems a little crazy. Oh, she's going to go ahead and just play KAS. This is a tough one just because she doesn't have a vowel to play alongside it or atop it, which Rafi has in the O for Okas. So I don't really see anything I like that much better, but I don't think this would be my play either.
Yeah, nothing feels great there, but Kegs and Story feels like the best way to try to put it together and just create another line up top. But I don't know, just a tricky situation for Laurie. I think she needed to just draw the bingo like 2 turns ago before this board dried up.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be okay just because if you force Rafi into making a play here, maybe you can get lucky. And with just look at the composition of the unplayed tiles here, right? Isn't it crazy? It's really, really low point. There are almost no high point tiles, no tiles more than 3 points are left to play. And even then, it's just the M from Rafi's POV. And maybe Laurie is realizing that either Rafi has a play here and I get a play through this E, which is very possible, or maybe if he plays something with Okas, the resulting letter in this spot literally has to be a decent bingo tile, and maybe I have non-zero chances of playing something there. So I'm starting to like this play a little bit better just based on the precise situation that she's facing. It's still a really, really tough position, though.
Yeah, you're grasping at straws in that situation, but you do give Rafi a tough decision here. And if you're stuck at the end of the game and all of your options seem poor, just think which one makes my opponent have to think hardest the next turn, because maybe they'll mess up. And I think this makes Rafi think, do I address the triple word at the right, which is less likely but more threatening, or do I address the E and the N and pence, which are more likely to be hit, but those bingos probably don't beat me all of the time. In fact, probably don't beat me most of the time. It's a tough decision for Rafi, one that I think he'll probably end up getting right. And by right, I mean I would play as long as possible over by the K and the A, I think. I'd play something like Nodal here, but it's a tricky turn for Rafi. I don't know if playing on the right side is right yet, but I'd be looking to go long, just pull a bunch of these one-pointers out of the bag. I'd try to keep as many consonants as I can, and I'd not lose to a 100-point Hail Mary that Laurie could have on the right side.
Yeah, I agree. I think the right side now becomes the spot that Rafi has to address. I think the E on this side of the board, what happens, right? You bingo into the E as the final letter of an 8-letter word, and you get a triple to hit at the top, or you play something a little further down and you get a triple to play parallel to most of the time. So I do feel like playing on the right side to minimize those absolute disaster scenarios makes a little bit more sense. He's going to play tidal. That makes sense to try not to draw duplicated eyes on his next turn. I think the engine wants him to play Dotal there because his odds of drawing a G are so high to get that ING combination, but that doesn't really matter to him here. Rafi doesn't need to bingo again. He just needs to make sure that he doesn't allow Laurie to bingo. So admiring his rack leave, not important. I think it's fine for him to minimize the worst case scenario, and duplicated eyes would probably represent that.
Yeah, I mean, this is about as bad as it's going to go for Rafi. You draw a bunch of vowels, but you're still in good shape. That rack is still flexible enough that you can hit back. You can stack any bingo Laurie might have through the E and probably still hang on and win the game. So I like his decision to cash in points, play long, rush to the end, and nobody's even home for Laurie. She doesn't have a bingo here. But that was a tough turn for Rafi, and one that I really like the way he approached.
I feel like there's a surprising number of tiles still left here. Doesn't it feel like there's been a lot of moves in this game, and yet we still have 9 tiles in the bag? Feels like there's been a lot of game for us to analyze here, and yet there's still a bit more to go. From Laurie's POV, she has to be happy about that.
Yeah, man, I feel like we should be at the end of this one too, but there's still 9 in the bag for Laurie. The problem is, even though there are 9 in the bag, there's really not opportunity left in this game. She's going to do her best, set up egos in front of just GOS, and pray that she hits a long shot bingo. But Laurie has very little shot in this one.
Well, I mean, that it's definitely after Rafi's next play, it's going to make a really nasty board for her. But that blank is still lurking, and she has found it. She literally just drew, essentially, what did she play? GOS leaving GEEN, and she drew GO blank, one of the rare times that you play GO, draw GO, and play off an S as well, but your rack improves. So that being said, it's still going to be tough because we know how good Rafi is at manipulating the space on the board. And I just don't see that there's any way he won't make a really good defensive play here.
Yeah, he's got so many defensive options here. It's just about trying to execute the plan. You can play through the G, you can play on top of GOS, or you can play down to either the E or N and pence. Plays like Nation down to the N, obstruct most things, but maybe some miracle overlaps are still in play. And with the pool as good as the one I'm looking at for Rafi, miracles might happen. So I'd be looking to play on top.
And Nation for that one, right? E-hook.
Oh, yeah, no, never play Nation. That's terrible. All right, I am fired. But I think
just in that case,
yeah.
if not for that, a play like that is absolutely called for. So not sure what that would be, but a play in this spot looks fantastic. If Rafi can find something there, totally agree with the general principle. Certainly a play into the G as well looks pretty good. So if you can't find a play down into this N, something like towing or eating or something, anything really forces Laurie to find a 9-letter word, which is always a much higher degree of difficulty.
Rafi does have Tayiniye down to the E in pence, and in theory that probably survives most things, but Rafi can't play 6 tiles here. He's looking to play 4 or 5. 6 would empty the bag, and if Laurie does have a bingo, he might actually lose. I think we're going to see OATEN and egos or something in that vein play on top. But yeah, on top or through the G, just don't empty and play off 4 or 5 tiles. That's the approach here.
Yeah, I like it. Just to put it on the board so you guys can look at what we're talking about. Eating is the play instead of oaten, but this definitely accomplishes a lot of the same goals, blocking the E and the egos hook in one go, and leaving Laurie just 1 tile to fish with, and it's going to be really difficult for her. Both, obviously, she can play 1 tile in a spot like right here, but that makes it obvious to Rafi what to do. Just block that 1 line and you're home free. So nicely done by Rafi. He is right on the cusp of a very needed win for him after a pretty brutal loss that we just saw him endure.
Yeah, good for him to right the ship and get back in the win column on this one. Laurie's a tough opponent, and he made this one look easy. Mycelia, still just a really impressive find. That one outside the top 10,000 7-letter words. So Rafi's definitely been hitting the books to get ready for this.
Yeah, no surprise there. I said it before, but I would always be surprised to see Rafi miss anything. His word knowledge is at that level. There are a bunch of players in the tournament who you would say that about, and it really is a testament to the depth of this field in both divisions, really. But yeah, so this is a tough one for Laurie. Did she even have anything available that just got blocked? I actually wasn't paying attention to whether she should be, hoping against hope that somehow that spot stay open, even though she knew that it wasn't likely to.
No, there was nothing there. I just ran it through. So nothing that Rafi even blocked. The double G, the EE, and not having any of the A's gave this very little flexibility for her.
Yeah, makes sense. So I don't even see, just looking at how sprawled out the rest of the board is, just try to, as an exercise, for the viewers out there, try to imagine where on the board could a bingo actually fit if not for this quadrant. This is really it. There's nowhere to open any space. You can't play something here. That's not going to be good enough at this score. There's just nothing anywhere else. So Rafi's done a tremendous job of exhausting that space on the board to a point where there really isn't too much hope for Laurie to open.
And again, the reason we're in this situation is because Rafi played BAUDS. In that moment, he made a point sacrifice, but every turn after that for the rest of this game just got so much easier. And now he's coasting to a victory. Laurie's got nothing.
Yeah, really instructive position there. Remember, he used an S on that move. Normally, we fetishize that S for good reason. It's such a good tile. But Rafi's objective is not to hold on to the best possible tiles. It's to win the game and do what's required to win the game. And yeah, creating that board, taking away this hook, making it really, really difficult to do much. I guess it's interesting to think about if Laurie had somehow had a play that overlapped this, that also opened the top of the board. We could be really thinking about a totally different scenario right now. Instead, she's going to go for the best fish that she can look at here, which is fishing off an E. I think this makes some sense. If she draws one of the A's, she will threaten age long in this spot right here. Not sure if that plays anywhere else, Matt, but it seems like as good a try as any.
Rafi has a 9 right now if he just wants to bingo. I've never seen this word before in my life, but Rafi has a 9. So there's your puzzle, everybody. If you know obscure 9s, look at this board.
Oh, my God. Are you serious? I can't even believe what I'm looking at here. Anybody that sees this, you get a Wanderer 15 cookie. That's the currency that I'll award you. Oh, there it is. Seth Lipkin in the chat. The North remembers also. I don't know who's Seth Lipkin, I expect, would see this without help, as brilliant of a player as he is. Ametropia. Completely insane. I don't think Rafi is going to see this. And I think anybody that knows him well should ridicule him severely for not finding this word after the game.
This is one that's hard to see, but if you know the definition, I'm sorry.
A vision-based ailment.
Absolutely.
Hard to see indeed. Yeah. Who's finding this, Matt, in your estimation?
Who is finding Ametropia? Mac Meller is most of the time live over the board. Josh Sokol sometimes. I'd say a lot of the older vets who just love words and have been around Scrabble forever find them, like the Seth Lipkin types, but probably not Rafi, unfortunately. I love Rafi. He's a great player, but not going to find Ametropia here.
Yeah, nor does he need to. Amazing chat that apparently Quinn James played this exact word in a duplicate game recently. So that's pretty good evidence that Quinn could find it. Hard to believe that level of coincidence, but I absolutely don't doubt it. And you're getting roasted too by Adam there, Matt.
I deserve all the roasting all the time. So keep on taking your digs. I'll be here. That's not actually a roast. That's just also a dad joke. So we're fighting fire with fire. Absolutely. And I'll do that all day.
Yeah, you'll never back down in that battle of punning. And all right, Amrita, looks like it's going to be the play for Rafi, which if not for Ametropia, that is right at the top of his best endgame plays. This does everything he wants. It blocks the bingo that Laurie could have here of age long, maybe some other stuff, and doesn't give her anything back in return. So nicely done once again by Rafi Stern, stemming the tide here against him. He lost 2 in a row, but he is about to get off the schneid here. And depending on, it looks like Jackson Smiley losing his previous round. I'm trying to figure out who he lost to. Jim Sherrill. Nice win for Jim against Jackson, I should say. That means Rafi will rejoin, reassume his position of first place after this game. So it is a marathon, not a sprint, Matt. It's very difficult to go wire to wire in one of these.
Now, there are just so many talented players, and you're bound to drop games. Even Nigel Richards loses games of Scrabble, and if you lose a couple in a row and somebody behind you wins a couple in a row, they'll catch up. But all you want to do is be in striking distance, and then whoever gets hot at the end of the tournament is generally the one who takes it. Rafi's got to be pleased that he was able to get it back on track here. Laurie's found her best end-game sequence of aging, and Rafi's going to go out with this O to give us a final in this one. Hang on.
What's
We are
up?
missing a tile. There's a tile in the bag right now, isn't there? No. No, there's not. My
No, I
placard's
have it okay. Yeah, I have this as correct. So I have the final score as 412 to 332 with Laurie having EO, which makes sense, I
yes,
think.
yes.
So yeah, solid 80-point win. I think all is going by the book here with the tiles. And yeah, maybe we'll see what they have to say about the game.
I might have missed a bingo earlier. Is Derailer good?
Derailer. I don't think so. Derailer.
It's it's a common rack. I should know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But I couldn't pull the trigger on it, so maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a
No, it's not good. Okay, there's nothing in
That
it.
was when you played her.
Yeah, one of those. I had very similar like racks that looked like larder or stuff like that. So I'm sure I missed something.
But I mean,
I'm sure they'll point it out.
Gross to draw the Q with the fish.
Yeah,
Like that was.
I know. I think I kept LADER and I drew RQ. So that was not fun. But I was happy to draw that at the end. But
Was that
I
your final
was-
toss?
no, it was. I mean, it was. No, actually, I had it for a little bit. I didn't write everything. A few turns back.
Okay.
So I was opening and hoping something would work out. But the G's were not.
Yeah, you got all the G's. The G's are not good when there isn't a spot trying.
No.
But I actually, right after I started eating, I was thinking maybe I should have played towing using AA just because TTEINT. Like I think the T is worse there, and I wasn't even thinking about in my head I was like, I'm not gonna be able to figure out what 9 is harder. But after I was like, you know what? I think the G's might be a little worse. But now I get it.
Yeah, maybe I missed something. I'll
Probably not
watch
with
it.
G's.
But yeah, I kept looking for like words with like gene or something with gene.
Oh yeah.
Because all the E's and G, but yeah, nothing
Just
came to mind.
I'm lucky that you missed the trips along the bingo and then you like this and this and
Yeah, that was really nice.
things.
That's 100%. 100%. That's good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I
I like
it looks very
never
familiar,
100%
but
on anything, but like 99%.
double check. Yeah, I feel like it takes like an N. Yeah, L or N. Kind of those. Yeah. That's a really nice one. Yeah.
This was like I wasn't that thrilled about it, but I mean, you never have to blank when you fish that. It's like almost impossible to have to blank. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So you're gonna, unless you just drew it, you're gonna have to hit a natural through the H there. So I'm not that worried about it. And I don't think you really ever leave the C when you do that. The C was the tile that made it easiest to triple through the H. I thought.
Yeah,
So,
that's smart deduction there.
the only I mean, it left the best lead at scoring those points, and it took out that, which seemed more of an issue than the free triple, which is not going to happen in 2 games in a row.
Yeah, it's well played. I'm sure I made some mistakes, but it was
I mean, you were struggling through some tough spots for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if to do, I was trying to figure out like how to open the side of the board, and I don't know if that was too dangerous.
Well, I mean, it made me play here. I mean, I didn't have. It's not that amazing of a lane, but there are a lot of A's stuff, so it's not that far fetched to have to end a bingo and A's somewhere.
Yeah.
But it helped me a little bit because I didn't have a way to win a score and walk that part of the board. So anyway.
Well, that was a learn from my end.
You got 412, 332.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like they're wrapping up that discussion there. Maybe we'll kick it back to the booth and some, again, as always, very interesting insight from both players. I feel like Rafi's rationale for playing there stands out to me, Matt.
Yeah, so Rafi, if you don't know, has an extensive background as a poker player. He is better than almost anybody out there in figuring out what does this play mean. And you see him saying after REE through the E, you basically never have the blank. It just doesn't make any sense. And she'd only drawn, I think, 2 or 3 new tiles since playing REE. The odds that she had a blank were very low. And outside of having a blank, the odds of a triple pretty low. So Rafi able to defend that decision based on his ability to make inferences, and that's what makes him such a strong player.
Yeah, for sure. That inference-based thinking, basically the same thing as a poker player putting their opponent on a certain range, on a certain hand or set of hands. Exactly what he did there, imagining that after Laurie's play of just re for 6, very unlikely that she would keep the blank or the C in her range. That's very, very next level impressive thinking on his part to help him. Basically, the other funny thing that he pointed out was there's no way I can get tripled on with a natural 2 turns in a row, can I? Which is maybe not the same level of mathematically or probabilistically based thinking, but hard not to buy into that a little bit as well.
Yeah, we heard Matthew Tunnicliffe use the same logic or similar logic. He had a game against Josh Sokol a few weeks ago where they each tripled, and Matthew said, well, there's never been a game with 3 triples, so mathematically
I'll open another.
they triple, and he did open another with a big lead.
Beautiful.
Didn't get burned. It was incredible.
That's hilarious. Love that thought process. So yeah. Another fun game. You can see Jackson sitting down as if on cue. I was about to preview the next matchup. Rafi winning and reascending back to that first place position. But we're going to close out the day with another game from Jackson Smiley against a very high flying, lower seeded player, the 36th seed, who was in 5th place going into the previous round, David Brown, a player I've actually played against a number of times. I feel like he's a bit underrated at that 36th seed. So it's going to be Jackson versus David Brown coming up. Our final game of the day, Matt. We're almost done with this. It looks like we just passed the halfway point, but only barely. Still so much Scrabble to come.
And we're still living on a prayer.
Well, I mean, maybe literally in my case, just a prayer that I could continue to consume enough honey to probably, slay even a queen bee or something like that, but to keep my throat intact. But in either case, last game of the day coming up. It'll be Jackson Smiley versus David Brown. Just a quick break to reset before we come back with that game from the 2024 World Cup.